Hey, Phantomaniacs, welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. Today, we are looking at another release from PowerTown, where wrestling lives on. These are PowerTown Ultras of Brian Myers and Matt Cardona. It is no secret that I'm a huge fan of the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, but also, going all the way back, I've always been a fan of Zack Ryder and of Kurt Hawkins. I liked him as a tag team. Obviously, Matt Cardona's singles run as Zack Ryder had its ups and downs, but his work ethic with the YouTube channel and everything that he did to get himself over is incredible. And Brian Myers has become somebody who I think of as like a cornerstone of modern wrestling. First of all, he's taught so many people who are on our TVs right now, but when you watch his matches, they're just the smoothest, this is what modern wrestling is, to me anyway. And I've got a lot of respect for both of these guys, their hustle, their work ethic, what they've accomplished after being released from WWE. And now they have what look to be two of the greatest wrestling figures of all time. I reviewed the Bruiser Brody PowerTown figure a year or so ago, I guess. And it was amazing. But then the secondary market prices made me feel like, well, I would like to have that $175 more than I would like to have a Bruiser Brody figure. And the same thing is happening with these. This set is currently going for $250, $300 on the secondary market right now because no more of them are going to be made. Because this, as we're going to see, this set is completely nuts for everything that it includes, the quality. But with these guys, I have to have these figures of these guys. Like, I have a lot more fondness for Cardona and Myers than I do for Bruiser Brody. And that's not, saying anything about Bruiser Brody's career. It's just my personal familiarity and fandom for Brody. All right, so packaging, nice thick cardboard. It's got the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast branding on the top. It includes the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship, which is a big selling point, and the Impact Digital Media Championship, which granted it's not Impact Wrestling anymore, but that's okay because I still love this championship, and anything having to do with TNA/Impact, I'm happy to have in my collection. And I hope to see the new TNA figures from PowerTown sooner than later. Oh, I like the way they did this packaging. Look, you got Matt, Cardona, Brian, Myers. Packaging looks really good. You'll notice the belts have kind of come out of place. I don't care. And from what I understand, this is resealable packaging. So even if you want to keep the mint in box, you can go in there and straighten those belts back up and put it back like it was. Got great biographies on the back. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and read them. But I love this level of detail. I love how much PowerTown values the world and the mythology of wrestling. So this look is from Matt Cardona versus Nick Aldis, March 20th, 2022 for the Crockett Cup. So almost 3 years ago. And this is from Brian Myers versus Crazy Steve, September 29th, 2022, from Impact on Access TV. I like that they've specified the looks, but I think the looks we have here are both really solid, iconic looks for both guys. I'll be doing a comparison size-wise to a Mattel figure and a Super 7 figure, so we can take a look at that. And I will say, out of all the figures these guys have had since they left WWE, this gear, I think, is their most iconic representation. Cardona's had a couple of really spectacular figures. Myers has had his one sort of signature look, which is the blue and orange from Super 7. And then his second Super 7 figure, he went with a black, which looks cool, but to me is not very toyetic. I didn't even end up buying that one. Well, I didn't buy either of the Cardona and Myers Series 2 from Super 7. Just because for the price, I just couldn't justify it. So as you can see, heck of a package here. Heck of a loadout. I've got a little backdrop that's maybe a little too glossy for thumbnails, but maybe not. We'll find out. Let's set that box off to the side. Now, obviously, with current pro wrestlers, especially independent wrestlers, who you generally have a little better access to, one of the big things is getting stuff signed. And this, to me, is not a piece I would get signed. It's just too big. This is a lot of shelf/wall space. And I've got some signed stuff from Brian Myers because I have had the opportunity to meet him. Cardona is a little tougher to track down if you live in the Southeast. He just doesn't do as much here. But, well, you know what? Neither one of them are here very much anymore. But, well, Myers has been here with TNA several times, but not doing signings or anything. Regardless, I want to have separately signed stuff from these guys. As much as I love the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, I do really look at their careers as being separate things. Gosh, this robe is ridiculous. So you can see the belts slot right back into place there. Got lots of hands. One alternate portrait for each, which I appreciate. Oh, no, wait. Myers has two alternate portraits because he's got his masked entrance portrait. And then look at this. A little bonus that, spoiler alert, although it was spoiled weeks ago, but the Internet Championship, Matt Cardona's, the new version of the Internet Championship, a little bonus surprise tucked back into the packaging. I'm interested to see how these belts work. We're going to set that to the side for the moment. We'll take a closer look at it later. The entrance robe, which is just nuts. Oh, real quick. So these took longer to come out, which in the world of independent toys, because I'm still filing PowerTown under Independent Toy Company. So these took like a couple of years to come out. I don't remember when they were initially supposed to release, but they were later than they were supposed to be. But that's just how toys work sometimes. But as a make good, PowerTown produced these collector coins that this thing is wild. First of all, it's heavy. Like, it has got real weight to it. But look at the detail on this. The belt collector, NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And if you remember at the time where Cardona was the World Heavyweight Champion, I believe he had 8 championships at the same time. And then on the other side, Brian Myers, most professional wrestler, digital media champion. This coin is wild. Look at the thickness on that, and the heft is just really impressive. That's a cool piece. I don't know how I would even display it, but it's a keeper. I'll hang on to that. I'll put it somewhere. It'll probably go in my Major Wrestling Figure podcast junk drawer, but that's fine. All right. Well, actually, I'm going to leave that up there, and we're going to take a look at these figures one at a time. First up, Matt Cardona. Look at that mug. That surly, stanky face just sneering at you, waiting to soak up those boos. Fade looks incredible. The sculpt is great on that hair. You can almost see the topics in there. But I will say, well, no, it's right. It's right. I thought the eye was printed a little low, but that's his eyelid right there. So no, they are spot on. I mean, that's amazing. Got the hairy chest sculpted nice and jacked. Plastic feels good. These are Super 7 articulation, which I know not everybody prefers that. But that's, excuse me, That's my preference articulation-wise. I am honestly not a giant fan of double-jointed everything. I'm also not a giant fan of the huge pins in these, but they're covered up by elbow and knee pads, so what are you going to do? So that elbow pad can kind of slide around so you can get the bend you want. Interesting that the peg is built into the wrist, so the swappable hands are going onto a peg there. That's Mezco style. I don't know if I really have a preference. I don't know that it matters very much. Look at the metallic purple on that elbow pad. So often when something is supposed to be metallic on an action figure, you get instead just like a brighter, shinier color rather than it actually looking metallic. Look at that down here. That's silver. Nice metallic silver. And look at the angle. So this is interesting. They've got standard modern ankles, but look at the sort of angle of the ankle, if you will. It's not just straight down like it is on most figures. There's a little bit of an angle to it. It's because these guys kind of stand a little open-legged like that, ready for action. The waist joint is somewhat limited because it's not a cut joint. The trunks actually do come up over the torso just a little bit, but you don't get, because they're limited, you don't get that weird, when it's just a cut joint, that edge there that I can't stand. And look at the way they've sculpted this. Like, not that Cardona's got anything even remotely like love handles, but just the skin, the way that it's on top of the trunks there. It's like it's actually, you know, snug trunks cutting into skin rather than just straight line that we typically have on action figures. Like, it actually looks like the way the clothing interacts with anatomy. Got the great detail on the back there. And let's see how much. Oh, we've got a really nice amount of movement out of that torso joint. And the head. Oh, look at that. All right. Oh, that pops right off. That's beautiful. Got that great pivot. So you've got a ball joint and a pivot on the neck. So when he's going up for that Rough Rider, you can really get a nice angle for that thing. Or whatever it's called now. I guess it's not the Rough Rider anymore. I can't remember what he's calling it now. So all this articulation, as you move it around and play with it a little bit, it's going to loosen up some. The hip joint is impressive because rather than have a cut on the thigh, which I'm not a big fan of, or even having the Super 7 style, we'll take a look at that in a second. But there's more with just having this ball joint right here. There is a lot more flexibility than you might think there would be. Take a look at the detail on that knee sleeve with the MC on it. Got the tattoo peeking over the top of the boot. The boot's correct. Look at the gloss on the buckles of the boot. Like, it's not just black paint, it is actually glossy. And then you've got a flat black or a matte black for the sole of the boot. There's the tattoo. The other knee pad, the skull. And then look at the back of the knee pads with metallic purple. They've got the open back. I mean, this is outstanding. So let's take a look, and it's going to be interesting to compare the proportions and the anatomy on this figure that looks more like a real muscular human to me than Mattel's figures do. So here's our PowerTown. Here's our Mattel. So you can see the scaling is definitely different. PowerTown is a good bit bigger. You can, if you want to, you can put them on the same shelf, but I mean, to me, aesthetically, these don't blend. So that's just a whole different collection. And then here is Super 7, which is scaled more like Mattel's. So our Mattel Cardona is about 6.75 inches. Super 7 Cardona, about the same. And then PowerTown Cardona, 7 inches. So yeah, these really are, for me, these are not going to scale with my other wrestling figures. And that's, I'll be honest, that's a problem. In this day and age, you should be making, if you're an independent toy company, you should be making your stuff to scale with whatever the big boys are doing. But it doesn't take away from the fact that this is a great looking figure. So let's stand him right over there, and we'll take a look at this entrance robe. I mean, you can see immediately how incredible this is. Got a little support in there. Got the purple in the lining, the black, and look, this is all stitched. None of this is just hanging loose, sticking out. Every bit of this, all of the edges are stitched. The panels inside are stitched. Even the sleeves. The lining in the sleeves is even stitched in. I mean, this is wild. I got that collar, has the MCs on it. And then the robe has these like sequin looking things. This is unbelievable. Cardona. The belt is stitched into the back. There's the glitter. I mean, this looks unbelievable. As great as the figure looks, oh, and it is losing glitter, so that glitter is applied. It's not like part of the fabric. So that's something to be aware of. Let's see how easy it is to get the robe onto the figure and looking good. Because those arms do not have a lot of, like that's as close together as they get. I might need to take the hands off before I do this, but we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be a lot easier to just pop those hands off. There we go. Oh, look at the fit. Looks great on the, like the collar sits the way it's supposed to over those traps. This is a completely different level of entrance attire from any other wrestling figure I have. Like nothing else is even remotely this well executed. Oh, look at that face. What a scumbag. So, yeah, there you go. Absolutely perfect fit. Looks fantastic. But we got to take that off because we got to check some other fits as well. And the quality of the fabric on this robe is amazing too. It's this really nice, soft velour type fabric. I'm going to have to display him with this robe on. Be careful when you're taking the robe off because that fabric can definitely get pinched up in those joints. You don't want to mess anything up. I'm going to have to display him with the robe. I guess probably robe open championship on his waist is how I'm going to have to do it because I got to show this, this off. Lots of glitter falling off of that thing. I also love the way that they did the packaging on this with this piece and then the other piece on top of it. So everything just comes out like you're not struggling to pull everything out of the tray that it's in. So of course you've got his obnoxious tongue out head. Every picture of this guy, his tongue is out, his fingers are up. He knows how to be a heel. It's incredible. I'm not putting this on my shelf because if I never see this guy's tongue again in my life, it'll be too soon. But get a little white schmutz on the ear up there. It's just a little flash. No big deal. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it looks like I'm holding his little tiny head in my hand. It's amazing. I'm trying to get the middle finger hands out there. There we go. Okay, so you've got 2 fists for punching, 2 middle fingers for pretending you're a 15-year-old who's having his picture taken for the first time. And then that NWA World Heavyweight Championship, the 2022 version. Look at that. Look at the gold rivets. Look how shiny. Why do these plates look so good? I often have trouble determining if I prefer the metallic look of Mattel's belts or that sort of matte, but still, like they do a shiny metallic that looks like vac metal, and then they do a metallic looking plastic, and I think they both look good in different ways. But this is how a championship should look. All that painted detail on the side plates. Look at that. Canada, United Kingdom, Mexico, Japan. This is... we got some... got some paint missing up there. And I can see that with the naked eye. I might have to say something about that. Matter of fact, I definitely think I have to say something about that because this is one of the centerpieces of this set to me. So that's not great. But that is great. And I'm curious to see how this works. I'm not a fan of many of the ways that championships fit onto modern figures. They all just kind of look bad. This is just a different version of the way Mattel does it. And I don't think I like it anymore. Mattel has those 4 pegs on the back. And here they've gone with just 2 like slot type things. It doesn't seem to work better. As a matter of fact, it doesn't seem to work as well. Yeah, I'm not calling that an improvement. But once it's on, looks good. Scale looks good. I think proportionally it's the correct size because this is a smaller championship. So that is Matt Cardona. I guess I'll throw, just for fun, Okay, cool. That pops right on. And there he is. That's what he does. All right. The only thing this figure would need to be more accurate is a shirt that it could take off and choke other figures with. All right, let's set him off to the side and take a look at the most professional wrestler, Brian Myers. They got the hair right. He's got the red beard, the brown hair, or the darker hair, I guess would be appropriate to say. Portrait looks great. Not quite as tan as Matt Cardona, but nobody is. No elbow pads on this guy. So those big old pins are just sitting there yelling at you. Got his, I believe, Power Ranger inspired gear, if I'm correct on that. That waist doesn't want to move very much. These are definitely kind of the kind of figures you have to loosen up the joints on them. Because right out of the box, they don't want to move a ton, but once you start moving them around, you get some pretty good flexibility. That gold trim on his gear looks fantastic. Like it is gold. Nice and shiny and bright. He's got the tattoos on his forearms. Mackenzie, Madison, his daughter's names. Got that those open back knee pads. Are the boots high enough? I feel like these maybe should be a little higher up. And it doesn't look terrible because this is all just white. I feel like they've kind of done a little trick here where there's a boot cut, but you can kind of look at it and be like, well, you know, technically the kick pad's going up here. Interesting way to approach it. For footwear, wrestling footwear, that's typically been, for some reason, a challenge to produce correctly in action figure form. Like the number of figures I have that have terrible looking or at the very least inaccurate kick pads, it's a lot. I don't know why that's such a problem. Again, great portrait, but this is not the one I will be displaying. I think, I don't know, it depends on how good his entrance gear looks. I might have to do the version with the mask, but the open mouth yelling, like, that's great. The detail of the teeth, the tongue, and everything, that one looks really, really good. I dig that. All right. And the pure white of this is great too. The black, white, and gold contrast. Like I said, this one looks really toyetic. This was a good choice for gear. And I'm glad he didn't just go with the blue and orange again, because I've already got that. I've got the Super 7 one, which is a great figure. This one is something different for the shelf. So he comes with the Impact Digital Media Championship, which is a very unique looking championship. It would have been awesome to have one of the current TNA titles, which wouldn't have been possible because that was literally, a few months ago that they even announced it was going to be TNA again. This is a very, again, toyetic championship. I love the circuit board look of it. It's a unique piece, so it's a cool, even if it's, I don't even know what the status of it is right now, but I'm certain, as an Impact Championship, it's defunct in a way. But it's a cool one to have a toy of. I'm happy to have it. Let's see. So we've got alternate hands for Myers. Same deal. He's got 2 fists for punching and 2 middle fingers. Look great. That is sculpted tape on there. It's not just painted on. And we've got his entrance look, which, like, this looks awesome. But I just don't know that I want his face covered up like that on the shelf. Let's see what it looks like. I like how they did the hair here so it'll fit under the vest. Oh, I need to back up. There we go. So he's got the vest and he's got two hood pieces. So denim vest, most professional wrestler, Brian Myers. Got the M on there. What the heck is that? Oh, it's the major logo. And then on the back, Myers' sort of tribal skull portrait type thing. The denim looks fantastic. The sculpt of it and the paint on it looks great. They even got the sort of cut up looking sleeves here. So they're two different looks, and they both kind of hook under the collar of the vest. I'm sure there's a sort of magic way to do it just right. There, I think I might have gotten it, or at least pretty close. So anyway, that's hood down. I'm sure it can fit in there a little better than how I have it right now. And then hood up. Let's do this. This is all thin, flexible plastic, so it kind of, you got to fiddle with it. It doesn't have any resistance, so you can't quite force it into place. But there you go. There's hood up. I feel like push that back a little bit, maybe. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, if you can fiddle around with it a little bit and get it hooked in. There we go. I think that's good. So that's hood up. I think I'm probably... Oh, no, this is interesting. Will I be able to do hood down with... Like, will the hair go over the hood down look? Probably not. Okay, yeah, it does. And you push the body back. This might be what's going on the shelf, because my other Myers, my Super 7 Myers, is more kind of neutral position. So I think this guy, probably something like that. Because you can get, the plastic of the hood is soft enough to sort of bunch up a little bit under the hair. I think that's probably the look I'm going for with Myers. And these, I mean, these are solid. Cardona's been standing over there the whole time I've been doing the review. You see they stand up really nicely. Let's give Cardona his other hand here. I always feel like I have to give him a middle finger hand, even though I'm not a big fan of that as your standard salute. Like, it's so his thing. Oh, that belt just popped right off. Not a fan of the way they engineered these belts. So wait a minute. Oh. It only just now occurs to me, though, that the problem with the hinge being on the wrist is you only have one direction to pivot. So he can do that, but you can't turn it to give that any kind of angle or anything. Ooh, bad design. Yeah, that I'm going to have to call that a mistake, because, you know, my hand can do that and then can also do that. Yeah, barely. I haven't stretched today. So now their hands can only go inward like that. Ooh, okay. So the two issues, no, more than two, because I got to be honest here. The three issues that I have with these, and I think it's the only three issues, is they're too big. I really feel that they should have been scaled to go with Mattel's. The championship, and I'm talking design issues, not actual flaw. Well, wrong belt. Not actual flaws like this missing paint here. I'm talking design issues. I don't like the way they designed the championships to close. I don't think it works particularly well. Well, that time it seemed to go right in. Maybe. Okay, well, it's fine as long as it's not on the figure. I think my favorite closure on a championship is probably Toy Biz's WCW ones that they work like kind of like a belt. But I understand it's challenging to get it to look right and function correctly. So yeah, the size, the way they did the championship closures, and those wrists are bad decision. I don't know what they were thinking with that. Like, that's really strange. But other than that, these figures look fantastic. They are the best looking wrestling figures in my collection, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Cardona is jacked enough. Cardona is tan enough. Myers looks like the most professional wrestler and looks great in that signature pose that he, you know, his homage to Raven, I'll say. These are very special items to have in your collection, in my opinion, and I'm thrilled to have them. They'll go right at the top of my major wrestling shelf, or right in the front, rather. So there you go. If you missed them, I don't know what to tell you. If you're thinking about buying them from a third party on eBay, I don't know whether to tell you to act now or to wait a little while until some of the heat's died down, because PowerTown made what they made, and that's it. I do not expect to see any of these available in any other way unless you're buying directly from Cardona and Myers on Whatnot. And if you do that, you know they're not going to be anywhere near retail price. So if you want these, you might want to jump on eBay now, or, you know, potentially wait for repaints, but then they won't have the same accessories and stuff. I don't know. I hope we see more Cardona and Myers figures from PowerTown in the future. At this point, I guess PowerTown kind of needs to just stick with the scale that they've chosen. But it is a shame that they don't mix with your other wrestling figures. But whatever. They look great. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about Needless Things. Do all the stuff you do if there's content you enjoy. And until next time, always be ready and buy what you like.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.